Ooh, shit. Hold on. Okay. Get a quick drink real quick and then we'll hop in. Here we go. Oops. Oh. Haha. Just hop back in. I remember we were stuck with 8 and Lotus and Clover, so 8 and 4, I think. 8, 6, and 4. We are 6, right? Not 5. Thanks. Looks like for the control for some kind of electric lock. Yeah, the red light is on. Then it's got to be locked. You know, that's how it works. Oh, I am not... Oh, hold on. Oh, is this what happens whenever the thing happens? I don't know. Let's see in a second. There's a green light just below it. Although that one isn't lit. Great detective work from Lotus here. I bet it'll turn on if we unlock it, right? Yes, but how are we going to unlock it? There's no keyhole, no card reader, and no keyboard for putting in a password. I guess we aren't opening it then. Sorry, Clover. We're going to have to head out, actually. Sorry. I have no idea. Alright. I believe... Okay, yeah. This part is always not... Or always the adventure. That makes sense. Ooh. Start here, I guess. Oh, sick! Ethanol. Probably use that. Anhydrous ethanol. Don't know what that means. Anhydrous. Is that different from the regular ethanol? Powder cleaner. It can even erase marks left by a permanent marker. Well, I don't know about that. I'd rather drink it than use it to clean. Don't drink that. Are you sure? Alright. Whole bunch of steel lockers. The 9 on the right. The 9 on the right all have little red lights on them. Red lights, huh? Well, can't hurt to give these babies a try. Yup. I wonder if there's anything important in there. These lockers are a little bit larger than the ones on top. Let's see if there's anything useful in here. And apparently...
That worked! What? Huh? It's running on its own?
It certainly looks like it.
Isn't that kinda weird?
What?
Well, it's not connected to the main computer, right? There's just this keyboard and monitor. The only cable connected to this thing is the power cable we just plugged in. So, why is it working?
Maybe it's a wireless display.
Uh, a wireless display?
Yes, it connects to your computer wirelessly, hence the name. Have you been living in a cave, Junpei?
Is that normal?
Yes, at least where I worked.
Oh.
Oh, it stopped.
Pass with a colon.
Looks like we need to enter a password.
Again, there must be a hint around here somewhere.
Could you go take a look?
Yeah, I'm on it. What are you going to do?
I'll see if I can do something about this on my own.
On your own?
Yep, on my own.
Lotus?
All right, let's kick some ass.
Uh... Wait, what?
Didn't expect that, did you?
Of course I didn't! You're typing so fast, I can't even see your fingers. Well, at any rate, you're pretty amazing.
Did you fall for me again?
Whoa, 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 what do you mean again? I'm not into you.
I know. Don't be so stubborn, shy boy.
I am not being stubborn, I am not shy, and I am not a boy. I am a young, healthy, 21-year-old man. I'm not gonna fall for an old lady like you.
Old lady? Did you just say old lady?
Well,
I've had enough of you. Go somewhere else. You're bothering me.
What?
Go see if you can find a password hint or something. I'll try and open this from here. You're distracting me. Go. Now.
Fine, I guess I'll go. Nothing. No clues whatsoever. Clover didn't find anything useful in the laboratory either. Damn, looks like we've hit a dead end this time.
All right! Bullseye! Junpei, I did it!
What? Let me see. What is that?
I don't have any idea. It just showed up after I cracked the password.
You think it's a puzzle?
It certainly looks like one.
Huh? Aren't you gonna, I don't know, do more computer stuff?
No, I can't do any more. It won't let me do any more programming. See? The keyboard. Nothing. So, there's nothing more I can do. Well, I guess I'll leave this to you then, Junpei.
What?
Let me take a break, all right? I did my part.
Well... I guess you're right. Thanks, Lotus.
No problem. And make sure you know when you should thank people.
Now, I better take care of this myself. No more relying on anyone else.
Hey, Junpei, do you have a minute?
What's up?
Well, never mind.
Hey, hold on a minute. What does...
Sorry. Just forget about it. It's nothing.
What the hell was that?
me try. It's working again. Okay. I actually need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. All right, this shit's working again. That was I don't even know how long that was off. Okay, we're back. This time we're really back. All right, we're good. Junpei, Clover, and Lotus leapt out of the laboratory, slamming the door shut behind them.
Whew, thank God we got out of there.
You're telling me, sis.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
All three collapsed against the wall, breathing heavily. Junpei's heart was pounding in his chest, and his whole body felt weak. He inhaled gulps of clean air, and with each one, he could feel his body begin to calm down.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
They nodded to each other and started off down the hallway. Before long, they found a few new doors, but all of them were locked.
Damn, none of these open. They're all locked.
How about that one?
The final door sat in a corner of the hallway.
Let's hope this is the door with the prize.
Junpei grabbed the door handle and was about to pull it open when a voice cried out behind him. It was neither Clover nor Lotus, but he recognized it. There was no doubt that voice belonged to
Jumpy!
June.
Huh?
That's my name. He spun around. There, at the other end of the hall, Junpei saw human figures running towards him. Ha! Stop. 3 of them.
June? Santa! 7!
Double S and June. They stopped short in front of Junpei and his companions, gasping for air.
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
We were just walking, I don't know. I just realized I'm in the way again. I'm doing so good right now, guys. Trust me.
What? But we didn't...
Before he could finish, Clover spoke.
Hey guys, could you come take a look at this?
She was standing near the end of the small hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious to what she had found.
Hey, on the wall. A map of the ship's interior?
It says C deck.
So it's the map for this floor then?
Door 7. And... Door 8. Yep, they both eventually end up at this hallway.
In fact,
Yeah, isn't that what I said?
I
We
guess.
aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again.
Oh shit, I want to look back. Where did door 3 go?
Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. And that's how the nonary game works.
Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again.
Wait a sec. This leads to...
As he looked more closely, his surprise and excitement gave way to weariness.
Oh,
You've got to be kidding me.
One by one, the others saw what he'd seen.
We may as well go.
yeah.
What am I missing? As one, they all moved back toward the door. Junpei had only a moment ago been ready to open.
Oh, I almost forgot. We should keep this.
He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall, put it in his pocket, and followed the others. The 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke without looking back to the other 5.
Ready? I'm gonna open it.
They nodded, their silent assent. With a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each of them knew where they were.
I knew it.
They were just where the map had said they would be.
We're back.
That's what I thought. They made it seem like
The
at least.
hospital room.
Is it the same hospital room?
I see. I believe I understand what you're saying. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8.
Damn, you got up quick, Ace.
You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory,
It meant nothing.
and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors.
He looks like anyone might after only just waking up, but it seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He had managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report.
At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though.
Ace shook his head with a rueful smile.
Well, we saw each other again and we ain't dead, so I say that's good enough.
Hold up. Seven smiled.
Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need.
The key?
Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Here.
Seven tossed something small, metallic, toward Junpei.
Nice catch.
Thanks, man. Didn't think I caught anything, but okay.
Keys.
He caught it and found that the object was a key.
I see. So this is Jupiter.
Yeah, that's what he just said. On it, someone had engraved the symbol very similar to a 4. He looked over at June, who nodded back. It had to be the Jupiter symbol.
I'm gonna let you hold on to that, alright?
Yeah, on it.
Junpei tucked the new key into his pocket. What about the key you found, Junpei?
So, how many unused keys do we have now?
There's the Earth key we found in the laboratory.
Oh, I guess they just knew that.
The Saturn key card we found in the kitchen. And the Jupiter key you just gave me.
Junpei tucked the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up.
The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Sure.
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then, next to the stairs,
Wait!
They were the first words anyone had heard out of Culver in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy. Weren't going to be very happy words.
What about door 3?
look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. Just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point. At least there is for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably something behind door number 3. There were tears in her eyes, but she glared at 7 as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. Okay? There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. 7 looked everywhere in the room except at Clover and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well. I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again.
Hold on. Before the game tells me. 8, so Lotus would have to go with her.
So 7, you'll help me, won't you?
Wait, what? Can I not count? That's not how. 5. 5 plus 8 is 13. Oh, no, that's right. I forgot how it worked for a second. It'd be 12. 1 plus 3 is... Yeah.
Huh? Me?
That's how numbers work. Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. 4 plus 1 plus 7 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Looked like 7 was doing them too. At last, he gave up.
Damn. Well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
Don't make it sound so hard or so rough.
Alright, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Ace, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door number 3.
Okay, we're heading out.
Be careful.
Oh. Didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
You guys are just dicks.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it.
Wait, really?
The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
Well. No, we... No. No, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Truth comes out.
7 nodded, as if the answer made much more sense, and pulled the lever on the red.
Okay, we're off.
The door opened, and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. Numbers. Door closed.
All right, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Well, yeah.
Get moving.
What do you mean?
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused. I don't know why.
Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain.
You shouldn't have to. You really shouldn't have to.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
Yes.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
They were at the end of the hallway, lined by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
Yes.
All right, Junpei, open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket, slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Junpei sucked in a breath, held it, and opened the door as quietly as he could. Don't know why quietly, but okay. Inside was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we?
Didn't we find like an earth
Asking
room?
you if there's any reason we came back here.
I'm assuming there's an earth room, so yeah.
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Junpei pulled 2 things out of his pockets.
The Saturn key card. And the Earth key? I'm lost.
How are you lost? Santa cocked his head to one side like an inquisitive bird and looked at them. After several long moments, during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it. I think. So, the 2 keys that Jumpy has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck.
Oh shit, sorry. I think that's good. Who knows?
Yes, that's right.
Yes! June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you 2 can search Saturn, all right?
You 2 can all be all lovey-dovey.
Sounds good. Then you guys should take this key.
Probably, yeah. Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided that their initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
Plan decided. 2 teams split up. I'm good. Junpei and June headed for the elevators.
There's a card reader next to the left elevator.
I know.
Then let's try out the Saturn key card.
I thought you said, so let's check out the second elevator then. A light in the upper left corner blinked
Great!
to life.
It looks like it's working now.
All right. Now, how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button on the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside down triangle on it.
I guess there's no up button. Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
Door slid shut. They heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down. Ding!
happened? Look, Jumpy!
I'm looking. June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tinge of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened. Let's get going.
A tinge of anxiety. He grinned at June and stepped toward the open door. As he was about to step foot out in it, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait!
What?
I was trying to think of a joke. I couldn't think of one.
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Tight spaces. Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? Probably not this one. I was thinking tight spaces, but this one's also a pretty good fear. She was afraid because the only elevator button was pointed down. That meant, of course, the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators on A or B decks near the central staircase, all of which meant the elevator could only convey them to the lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater. An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary. Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise, like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator. I don't know why I did
It's
that.
not wet at all, is it? The walls and even the floor are totally dry.
Oh, you're right. They are.
She looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed. Probably shouldn't
Well,
be, though.
let's test it.
Test it.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two, E and C. All right, I'll push E.
He pushed the E button and jumped out of the elevator. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned. It was full of water!
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen. See?
Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest just a little bit. The man he was. June, however, still looked confused.
What does that mean? How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
He pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
I am a designer of ships, after all. Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket.
So I'm gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, all right?
She could just come with you.
But...
Come on, just do it, all right?
She could just come with you. He gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze, then hopped into the elevator. He pushed the E button, and the door began to close. June looked worried, but her eyes darting back and forth as she was trying to make a decision, when suddenly...
I'm coming with you!
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I don't know why she wouldn't.
Huh?
At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways, just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Hey, wait!
Why do you care? Junpei jammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late. Why do you care? I don't like Junpei. I'm gonna be
Crap,
honest.
it closed.
I don't like Junpei. The door had shut. He and June were in the elevator, and it was heading down to E deck. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on E deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
Ah, jeez. Ah, jeez, man. Ah, jeez. The elevator stopped. The door slid open. They tentatively stepped out and looked around.
It looks normal.
No fish going about their fishy business or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish. Or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out and her mouth a tiny, intense frown. Really? Really? That? Really?
Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously, then exhaled.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about that for a moment.
We'd probably die.
That's fair.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
At least we die together. We wouldn't die alone.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
If you look at the bright side, based on the way you guys are talking about it, if the ceiling were to break and puncture, good chance that probably everyone's gonna die. I don't know. I don't know how shit's work.
Okay, good idea.
Now then.
Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. The first thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars that ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Iron bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe...
In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening.
Well,
He walked up to it and stuck his head around the corner.
it looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
6?
Let's check.
Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. Before long, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door.
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the two of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Is this it? I guess so.
Wait, what's this?
Never mind. On the way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall.
Is this the map for Edek? I should take it with me. Huh, so you guys found door 1.
They met back up with Santa and Lotus, who explained what they found. Apparently, there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that was Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a number 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors. The 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Interesting indeed. Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
Well, we don't really know if all of Edek is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, honestly, I think we should probably. I think Zero's a pretty cool dude. Honestly, I think we should dap him up. Honestly, once we get out of here, I wouldn't mind meeting him. He seems like a pretty chill dude.
Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
I'd say around the ballpark of at least $3, probably a little bit more, but
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
yeah, I mean that's a safe bet.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Whole lot of that cheddar.
Yes, it does make sense.
That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit her lip while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked a stiff neck and stared into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
So are we gonna, like, fuck or something?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked up at Junpei with a large, pleading
Yeah,
eyes.
you're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
Hold on. We got door 6. 4. 7 and 1. 12. Plus is 3. Makes 6.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Well, they do open 6, so it would work out. Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
We went to check other stuff. It was 7.
7?
Ow. Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back.
What's wrong?
It looked as though there was something strange about them. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment, they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7.
What happened?
What the hell kind of question is that?
I don't know. I think it's a very good question. It's an important question. You guys seemed like you saw a dead guy, and like I don't know. 7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him hard. His shoulders were trembling, and his voice was strained.
Snake was... Snake is...
Snake is. 7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, Ace spoke. Took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke.
Snake is... dead.
Wah, wah, wah! Huh. Don't know the why on that one.
He died, just as the 9th man did.
But why and how? Huh. Damn, okay. It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heart beat quick, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. He could feel cold sweat beading on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt. All 3 were frozen in place, their faces white.
Oh my god. That's not true, is it?
Ah, you guys got us. We were just kidding. Snake's all right. He's actually right behind us. Come in, Snake. Yeah. No, I'm guessing they're not guessing.
We should make sure.
Yeah, right. We should.
They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door.
Wait! Not that way!
What? Why not?
They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door with no number.
I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
The shower room. The left side of the hallway. I put a broom in there too to keep the door open.
I don't know if I probably should.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then let's go.
Their new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Give me a second. This is, Can I get something real quick? Imagine they were just, like, trolling us. He's just like, oh, I was taking a shower. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall. Hold on. Okay.
This wasn't open when we passed here before.
But now, just as Seven had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open.
Well, let's keep going.
They looked at it for a moment, then stepped inside.
Oh, it smells horrible.
I'm glad we don't get 4D. Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut. What does that mean?
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
I'm confused. It was just as bad as I said. Perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour. It smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. That's a rough combination. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat to pound against the entrance of his stomach. God, this. He put his hands over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged.
Where is he? Where's Snake?
They didn't have to wonder where the body was. LR. What does that mean?
There.
There was blood everywhere. A few arms of splatter reaching toward them as they walked through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radial arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind a divider.
June, you should stay here.
But
Well, I think we should all stay here.
Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright?
I think everyone should stay here. I don't think it takes all four of you guys to look at it. He didn't give her a chance to say no. He put his hand on his shoulder, as if to shove her to the ground like a tent pole, turned and walked toward the end of the divider.
I'm going in.
I'm going in, boys! It felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed, timid and nervous as a pair of children. Eventually, they reached the divider. They looked at one another, nodded slowly. Junpei put his hands on the divider and peered around the corner. For a moment, he forgot to breathe. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I forgot how to breathe. He felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew, in that instant, that he would take the image before him to the grave. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body sat in the blood like tiny islands in a great Red Sea. A vast, ragged hole had been torn in the torso, and what remained of his intestines spilled out of it like fresh spaghetti. Oh my god, they're being descriptive. Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall and become stuck there as they dried. Globules of yellowish fat had left trails like tiny slugs as gravity pulled them down on the wall, even as they dried up.
Just like he said.
So, are you confirming that it is Snake? Like, you guys see the body and it's Snake, because I'm not seeing it yet. Santa's voice was strained. Junpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own.
Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut.
It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful.
Oh god. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
Well, that's expected.
It's definitely an open fracture.
You know what? You're right. His legs were both bent in an odd, unnatural way, and his left arm had split open, exposing the painfully white bone of his ulna. His bracelet lay next to him. It seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces. We don't know if it's Snake. We don't know if it's Snake, unless they...
Oh, the face. It's horrible.
Was it definitely Snake's face?
Yeah, you can't even tell who it is.
It's not Snake. Him and Clover are involved. Him and Clover are together too. They have to be, right? And that's why she. Oh my god, Clover's in on it. But maybe they don't want to be. Because it seemed like she wanted to tell us something, right? So the ninth man I never thought was dead. I still don't think he's dead, honestly. And now, Snake is dead, but you can't even tell who it is. Clover seemed like she wanted to tell us something. And I think it probably had something involved with that. I think those three are working together. Lotus I can trust. Like, she's not part of it because of the way she acts, but at the same time, she doesn't seem like the type of person. Okay, I went to take one from my man Snake. Why'd I do that? Oh my god, it's so bad. Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. I'll put that back later. But, yeah. Nine's not dead. I don't think Snake's dead. The first one, maybe there's not even bombs in them at all. Just saying. I'm just saying. Though, I don't... We've had to kill someone, though, right? Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating almost made it look like raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. That's what it is! It's raw... It's like it is just pizza. His clothes, too, were covered in blood. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with yellow piping, and the gray slacks.
But the clothes are...
They were all familiar to Junpei.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
Lotus's voice was unnaturally deep and strained, and Junpei heard it catch in her throat. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise of a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time, it put him on edge. Hold on. This may not matter. I want to see what 5 of us... What if... Okay, hold on. So, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. That makes 6. Wait, actually I did the wrong number. I don't think it'll matter, though. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8. 7. Because 2, 4, and 9 right now I think are in on it. Add one more, that would mean 5 of us can make it to the end. The other 4 you would think can get out. So I'm thinking, and my only guess, because she's so close to us, for the 4th person who would be in on it would be June. June. But let's say she's not. So 1, 6, 5, 3, 7, 8. That'll get us 2. I'm seeing which 5 get us 9. Five, 6, 7, 8, 3. I already tried that. Okay, so Santa? Okay. I don't know. I see no reason Santa would be involved too. That's the only one that makes 9 out of the 5, out of the 6 I'm looking at. I think. Well, no, but I mean, we know we're not the traitor. We're not a traitor, so yeah. So maybe it's Santa too. I don't know, we'll have to keep an eye on that. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. Her eyes were blank, stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the Ninth Man was.
Seven lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room, with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn, and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it.
There's no why.
First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3.
Oh. Oh, that's what you're saying. I see. Uh-oh. Oh, we're good. Oh, we're good. Okay. Okay, well, I see. I see what you're saying. I don't have the why. I don't have the why.
Then they shoved him into it. Alone. And waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake. But he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. Snake was the only one who went through the door. And then, 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened.
I don't think they would just give that to us.
I see.
But I don't know this game.
So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
Junpei crossed his arms and grunted.
Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms
Oh,
we've
that's
been
right.
assigned, looking for those parts.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
June seemed shocked.
How can you say that so casually?
I don't know.
You're implying that one of us is a killer.
No. 2 of us. Two of us.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right,
Two.
then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven?
Man, he seems pretty calm to me. I don't know.
What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
It's very true. It's very possible.
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser.
1, 2 makes 3. You need a 10. No, you need 9, which wouldn't work. So I mean, Ace should be clear. Ace should be clear.
Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Well, but you're kind of proving the point, because we have to fight against each other for the victory, because only 5 of us can win at most. So it would make sense if they're trying to just knock down the people that are left, but I wouldn't risk that even anyways.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
Yes.
But what if it's working?
That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion.
Let me hop in and say, what if it's worked? And 2 people saw him as competition and wanted to take him out.
We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship.
I mean, I trust you guys. But, just saying, it's not like something Lotus would do. And, maybe not that far. Maybe not that far.
Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
Again, usually that's how I am. But I still don't have a good feeling about Snake or 9 being dead.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself.
Possible? But why?
If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero.
Well, I mean, that was always obvious, but doesn't mean there aren't other people we shouldn't doubt.
He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered that.
If Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
Junpei? Was Zero still on the ship with them? I'm not sure. He wasn't sure.
Something's still strange.
What was that?
Well, I'm just wondering about one thing.
What did we have for dinner last night? Nothing? Just saying. Could use a good meal right about now.
And what's that?
How can you be so sure that Zero's on this ship?
Ace's eyebrows shot up.
Really, Junpei? I confess I'm a little disappointed. Usually you're rather sharp. Isn't it obvious?
No.
Wait, it is?
This ship.
Huh?
Zero said, this ship, several times when
Oh!
he addressed us.
Wait. That doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's very circumstantial. Oh. Now, you didn't put Captain. Captain does always go down with the ship. It would make sense that he's on this ship. See, he could be saying this ship from somewhere else. He could be. But the captain part, yeah, that definitely doesn't make sense. Yeah.
If he weren't here, he wouldn't say this ship, would he?
Be like, well, he could, but he did say captain, and that does make me think.
He'd be saying something like, that ship, or the ship.
He could still be saying this ship. That is very circumstantial.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Ace's explanation made perfect sense. Junpei felt a little foolish that he hadn't seen it himself. Well, admit, I didn't see that. I didn't think about that. Still, he was left with a question, and it was one of no small importance. I'll put my shit away real quick. I really just got it for the joke. Why do you sit on your bed the most comfortable way? It doesn't. No. We're here.
If Zero's on the ship, where is he?
In the captain's deck. Suddenly, everyone went very quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again, he heard the ghosting moaning noise. Moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke. Her voice was a cold monotone.
I think
I kill that son of a bitch.
I think Zero is
Me.
one of us.
Oh, shit. Possible. Improbable. Improbable. Unless it's not. Unless it is just 9. Okay. 9 is alive. I feel very confident in saying that. 9 is alive, and he could be 0. And it's possible that if he's 0, maybe they didn't kill Snake. And it was other people who killed him. It was, like, 7 is right there, but 9 is still alive. And she's right in thinking that, but it's not one of us, it's 9. Just saying. Just saying. But the he lied part doesn't really make sense then. I don't know. Or, original plan, original thought, 9, Snake and Clover all working with 0, and she's doing this to gain more suspicion. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. Well, maybe. Again, you don't know that. But who? Was he one of them? No. I don't think that's it. I don't think it's one of us. Unless it's June. But that's just me thinking game-wise, not actually logically. Logically, it's not one of us. 9, maybe, but one of us? Nah.
That's crazy. Isn't this ship going to sink in a few hours? If Zero was here with us, he'd be putting himself in danger.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he's already mad. It wouldn't shock me.
Why the hell would he do something like that?
I don't know if he's insane.
There's no motive.
Same people could do some crazy things. Clover looked up at Junpei, and her face fell.
You don't believe me.
No. No, I don't. In fact, I still think you might be working with Zero. Her eyes were so pitiful. The moment Junpei's met them, he felt his heart tighten. He didn't think what he said was wrong, but perhaps the way he'd said it had been. He'd been too insensitive. Well, I mean, I wouldn't have said it too insensitively, but Clover had just lost her brother. His death would have been bad enough, but she'd also seen the blasted wreck of his body. Junpei barely knew him, and the sight had been enough to make him sick. Again, them saying, in particular, that they couldn't see who it was. It just makes me think it's not really Snake. But again, it's a game. Maybe they're saying that on purpose. Maybe maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't think I am, though. What Clover had felt, I mean, he couldn't begin to imagine. In the mental state she must have been in, it was understandable that she would look at those around her with suspicion. She felt everyone was against her. The least Junpei could have done was to try to understand what she was feeling. He felt ashamed of what he said. Well, I don't think he should be. Perhaps he thought he should apologize. But before that apology could begin...
Clover,
Clover, I understand what you're feeling. You don't feel that you can trust any of us.
I still don't know if I can trust her. Just saying. Ace had beaten Junpei to the punch. As he spoke to Clover, his face was calm and friendly.
But you have to understand. The more we distrust one another, the further we fall into our true foe's trap.
I also believe this is true.
Zero was the one who did those horrible things to your brother.
Well, we don't know that.
Do you want to let yourself be manipulated by someone who would do such a horrible thing?
It feels like you guys are manipulating her. Like, I think he's doing this with the best of intentions, but what Lotus did, no, it sounds like you're manipulating her. Clover didn't answer. She didn't even look at Ace. The whole time, her eyes were on Junpei. He could feel Clover's eyes boring into him. They were the color of a deep winter lake, Junpei saw no suspicion in them, only sadness. Then, in that horrible silence, they heard a bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Oh my god. Wait, what? We've been here for 6 hours? What are we doing?
Then we need to move now.
Well, I have been playing this game for probably over 6 hours now I think about it. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no.
7. Clover, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
7 and Clover remained silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far away.
We must go. We have very little time left.
Ace's words put their feet into moving. Okay. They all knew where they were going.
Our next destination is Mercury.
Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
All right, let's go, June.
Right.
Wait, what?
Here it is.
It sat bolted to the wall near the stairs that led to the casino and the kitchen, between the 2 elevators.
The Mercury card reader.
Oh, did they find a Mercury card that they didn't tell us about?
We're using the card 7 gave us, right?
When did he give us this?
I found it when we were checking out the shower room.
Thanks for telling us.
I think 7 said something like that. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Junpei slid the card through the reader. The light on the reader turned green and made a tiny electronic noise.
I guess the elevator works now.
Jumpy, I know it's only the 2 of us, but let's do our best.
Let's do our best.
What's with you all of a sudden?
Well, I'm happy we were put together.
You know it's just for searching E-Deck,
Why you gotta be... Just say I'm happy too.
Even so, I'm glad I'm with you.
You could just say I'm happy I'm with you too.
First, we need to find out if the elevator comes up full of water.
Okay, I guess you're not gonna say it then,
Just like we
Junpei.
did before.
Oh,
I knew it. It's not wet at all.
let's go.
Yes.
Once it had been checked for water, Junpei and June stepped into the elevator.
Look! Nearly all of the buttons are destroyed.
Yeah, only the seat and bottom button can be pushed.
We're on C deck right now, so the only one we can choose is bottom.
Bottom.
Yeah. Well, let's try it
Well,
out.
who's gonna be? Who's gonna be the bottom then, June? Junpei hit the bottom button. The door closed. Slowly they began to move downward.
Oh, so this is the bottom deck.
They stepped off and saw the hallway to their right ended somewhere between 20 and 25 feet of them. The hallway in front of them was a dead end. But not a regular dead end.
Hey, over there.
Oh shit.
This is a numbered door.
This is the 8th one we found. There were 2 numbered doors on B deck near the central staircase.
This is where I feel like the big decisions are coming in.
They were doors 4 and 5. 3 more in the large doors
okay.
3, 7.
Yeah.
And the door we found on E deck, and the door Lotus and Santa found on A deck. It was a 6 on the door on E deck, and a 1 on the door on A deck.
4, 5, 3, 7, 8, 6, 1, 2.
That means...
Do you think the next door we find?
Yeah, I think so. The next one's gonna be door 9.
Despite himself, Junpei felt excited. There was something about that excitement that frightened him as well.
Finally!
Yeah.
You don't look very happy about it, though.
It's not that. I just hope nothing goes wrong.
You're right. We should keep our fingers crossed.
Across.
Let's head back.
Okay.
He did his best to put it from his mind and headed back to the C deck with June. Huh. The game works better with 9 people, Huh. Hold on. I don't know what I'm looking up right now. So everyone can make it out if all 9 people live, right? But, huh. But you can't do anything about those 2 deaths. So, like, game-wise, I don't know. Just thinking
1, 2,
about it.
3, 4. All right, 7 pieces.
The pieces of paper they'd folded up lay on the ground next to Junpei's leg. Everyone had written on paper, pulled from Junpei's notebook, in an effort to pull together a blind
Just
vote.
double checking, but everyone wrote their code name and a door number they want, right?
Yes, just like you told us earlier.
Can't believe we're voting here.
Why they had decided to vote that way?
We need to make the whole thing fair, blah-de-blah. This is a complicated plan, you know.
I mean, it's very equally likely that each one of the door leads to the exit. So, like, I don't know.
Hurry it up, Mr. I have a brilliant idea.
We can only go through 2 doors with the people we have. So, they decided it wasn't fair to simply ask everyone at once. That would allow people to force others to go through certain doors.
Yeah, quiet in the peanut gallery.
And he had a plan. It wasn't a plan he wanted anyone catching wind of, however, so he did his best to act calm as he began to open and read the pieces of paper.
All right, let's open these up. The first one says, Ace requests door 1.
Yes, I do. Would you like me to explain why?
It's on A deck.
No, we don't have time for that. Sorry. Let's keep going.
It's on A deck. And or you open the
Next
second
is
one.
Santa. He wants door 6.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
Junpei continued with his 3rd, 4th, and 5th pieces of paper.
Clover wants 1, Lotus wants 2, and 7 also wants 2.
Wait a minute. There is no way I'm going anywhere with the Elephant Man.
Hey!
No, there'd be no point to the voting if we let people change their choices because of stuff like that.
But
Just give it up, Lotus. It's not like I want to hang out with some exhibitionist grandma.
Hey! That's also me!
I am not an exhibitionist. I'm wearing clothes.
A little bit.
Barely.
So, last I checked, that's not a crime.
No, I ain't a crime.
Maybe. But what about common decency? Nobody wants to have to look at a chick who looks like a half-naked raisin.
Whoa!
Oh, I'm gonna kill you!
Too late. Oh, God! Lotus's hair flared out in the name of Angry Lion.
Oh,
she roared
not
with a
good.
voice that shook the walls.
Let go! Let go of me! I'm killing him!
Probably not the best. With some difficulty, Ace managed to restrain her.
Junpei, read the rest.
Right.
Junpei tore his eyes away and looked down at the 6 pieces of paper. He opened.
June wants door 6.
Yes, I don't really have a reason. I just felt like it.
All the papers save Junpei's had been read. Did some quick calculations in his head.
So this was everyone's vote. Ace and Clover requested door 1.
This was the door on A deck, near the central staircase.
7 and Lotus requested door 2.
This is the door on bottom deck.
Santa and June requested door 6.
This is the door on E deck, and could be reached by taking the elevator near the central staircase down. So Santa and June make 3 and 5 make 8, plus 6 be 14. This would be 5. That wouldn't work.
then the door I should choose is...
Took him less than a second to run the numbers. He opened the 7th piece of paper and
Okay,
spoke.
the last one is mine. I want to go through...
Yep, okay, we're saving here. We are saving here. We are saving here. On 3. So, here's the thing. I guess door 6 could work out if we add 1 ace. Well, I wish I would have known what I actually wrote down, because here's the thing. In reality, they'd be like, hey, let me see that if I chose door 6. Well, who else? I don't even know. They chose door that, which was 7 and 8. 7 and 8 make 15. Plus my 6. I guess I could just do it this way. That wouldn't work. 1 and 4 plus 6 plus 2. But they won door number 1. I'm just gonna choose door 6. I don't care.
I want to go through door 6.
Junpei flipped open the piece of paper. It read Junpei, door 6. Hey, it said it though. Of course it did. He'd written it after all.
That's a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would have been a problem if I said any number. If it wasn't a problem, I might have mentioned it, but June spoke barely above a whisper, but they all knew what she said.
None of these teams will be able to go through the doors they want.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming.
Clover and I chose door 1.
Lotus and I chose door 2.
That's not enough people to open a numbered door, however.
The digital routes don't match up either.
We've got similar problems. Junpei and I want to go through door 6, but our digital route is 5. If we're gonna open that door, we need a 1.
Damn, what are we gonna do now?
What are we going to do?
Junpei crossed his arms and did his best to put his thoughts in order. The others followed suit, but with little result. Hold on. We add 1 to our team, right? 1, 3, 5, 6. That makes 6. Which leaves 4, 7, and 8. So leaves 1. So we could do it this way. I don't know if I feel comfortable leaving Clover with the 2 arguing adults, but if we do it the most fair way, I guess that would probably be it. Eventually, Clover broke the silence.
Why don't Seven and Lotus go through door 1 with me?
That's what I was thinking. Her face was cold and flat, as was her voice, but her logic was sound. Seven and Lotus looked at each other. 7 plus 8 plus 4 equals 19. First problem resolved. Ace spoke up.
What about me?
You go with us, it would work.
Isn't that obvious?
Clover with the bombs right
Wasn't one of the teams just complaining that they didn't have a 1?
You mean I should join Santa's team?
Yes.
Clover nodded, her face still cold and motionless. Her attitude and posture could not have been more different than the energetic girl of only a few hours before. I still think that her, Snake, and Nine are involved. I'm not fading from that thought, but I don't know, this late into the game. No one seemed ready to contradict her. Her response was understandable, given the horrible situation in which she had found herself. But even so...
I understand. I'll go through door 6 then. If we do as Clover has suggested, we can all pass through a numbered door and no one will be left behind. This seems to be the most reasonable solution.
What? My guess is door number 1 is the right door. Door 2, I mean. Yeah. My guess is door number 2 is the right one.
7, Lotus. What do you guys think?
I don't have a problem with it.
Me either.
All right then, we're good to go.
See you later.
Wait, Clover! Don't move on your own!
Oh, I'll be going too then.
Yeah, be careful.
We should get going as well.
Yeah. My guess is door number 2 is the right one then. Based on how this game logics, they would assume we would pick door 6 because that's where June was going. That's where the game wants to lead. I'm just thinking game designer wise. That's where the game wants us to go. So door 2 is the right one. Or June is 0. I'll take either. At last, Junpei and the other 6 had managed to separate themselves into 2 teams. Clover 7 and Lotus head to A deck, where door 1 was near the main staircase. Junpei, June, Ace, and Santa, however, took the elevator to E deck. The ride to E deck was a silent one.
This is E deck.
There should be a door at the end of the hall.
All right, let's go.
Santa's words jolted them to action, and they stepped out of the elevator into a long, straight hallway. Before long, they arrived in front of door 6.
Here it is. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Then let's get to it.
One by one, they put their palms over the red. With a soft electronic noise, it authenticated each one of them. Each one of them. The door opened. All at once, the 4 of them leapt through it.
Hey, I found it. It's right there.
Fortunately, the dead was located easily enough. This one had been placed quite close to the door they'd entered through. They gathered around it quickly and hurriedly placed their palms on it for authentication. Oh my god.
It's...
Yes, it stopped.
The countdown had ceased, but Junpei's heart was still pounding in his chest like a frantic, thunderous drum. It felt as though it might shake itself up and out of his throat.
Whew. I don't believe I'll ever get used to that.
I'm not sure it's something I'd want to get used to. We should finish this game before imminent death becomes a normal thing.
You right? Me too.
You got that right. Once I'm out of this hellhole, I'm taking a nice long vacation.
I wish I had the money for that.
I agree.
With that, the doom and gloom from before was done, and the mood turned somewhat lighter.
All right, let's go.
That's a goal. With that attempt at good humor, Junpei took a deep breath and began to walk. He jogged down the stairs at the end of the hallway and found himself staring at a large door.
This door looks heavy.
But it's not locked. I'm opening it.
He took hold of the bar that served as a doorknob and shoved it down. The room beyond stopped him in his tracks. It was gargantuan and made entirely of metal. None of the accents of wood or tile he'd seen in the rest of the ship. This room was purely functional, but utterly tremendous.
Whoa, what the hell is this?
Santa got out a few words before awe stole the rest of them. The rest, too, were stunned. The rest were too stunned to offer anything more than
This
gasps.
has to be the biggest room so far. The ceiling is pretty high, too.
Huh. Could be 2 stories, maybe even more.
This space could be utilizing the entire length of the ship.
What's that huge Kamaboko-looking building in the middle?
What is Kamaboko? June pointed to the massive building in the center.
Kamaboko? Well, I guess that's as good of a description of it as any.
Junpei and the others were standing on scaffolding that crisscrossed the whole area. The proper term was catwalk, Junpei thought, although that didn't seem very particularly important.
I see stairs, so we may as well head over to them.
Yeah, but this section's barely wide enough to fit 1 person.
You're right.
Take turns. Nearby was a long iron staircase that made its way, eventually, to the floor beneath them.
Whoa, you can't even tell the shape when you're this close.
Let's check out the other side, too.
They moved around toward the opposite side of the massive building, following the catwalk. They hadn't said much as they walked, but as they approached the building, Ace suddenly spoke up.
This looks to be the steam engine room.
The steam engine room?
The steam engine room.
Yes, that thing that looks like a cross-section of a mushroom is the boiler. Do you see the 3 round doors near the bottom? Coal is put into those and burned, which heats the water, producing steam. The same thing that drives a steam engine. This one is simply somewhat larger.
I see.
It doesn't appear to be running right now.
The entire room was as silent as the grave.
All right, let's split up.
and all of a sudden, Junpei heard a noise behind them. He turned, just in time to see June collapse to her knees.
Hey, what's wrong? Are you alright?
He dashed toward her and wrapped his arm around her shoulders to steady her.
Hey, June.
It was then that he noticed.
Jumpy.
Oh, you're really warm.
I am a human after all. We're really warm.
Is your fever coming back?
Yes. Yes. It probably is.
This makes me not trust her. I'm not trustworthy enough.
But I'm fine. Please, don't worry about me.
I don't know
I just
about
need
that.
to rest. And I'll be fine.
I don't think we have time for that. Her voice was weak and forced, and it seemed a great deal more than her words did.
Okay.
It said,
Here, sit down. Careful.
Junpei carried her to the nearest wall, then propped her up against it. She let her head fall back against the wall, as if she no longer had the strength to support it, and drew a ragged breath.
Thank you.
Her eyes were empty, as if she was having trouble focusing them, and even speaking seemed difficult for her. Junpei felt his hand ball itself into a fist and clenched tight, his knuckles whitening. He had to find a way out, and quickly. He turned and looked at Ace and Santa in turn.
Ace, Santa.
Yes.
Right.
They might not have shared in the depth of, may not have shared the depth of his emotion, but they certainly shared his concern.
All right, let's get started. Hang in there, June. I'm gonna get you out of here real soon.
You bet. She managed a small nod before leaning back to rest her head on the wall. I'm gonna do it! Alright. Alright. Save it on 1. Nope, I wanted to leave. Wait, no. Alright, I'm gonna end this one here. If you guys enjoy, follow the stream. See you for the next one. If you're watching this on YouTube, follow me. Or you can watch it live on Twitch. Usually sometime in the evening. It'll be in the description. If you guys enjoyed, wait, no. Well, if you guys did enjoy on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Till next time, this is Lucas signing off. I'll see you guys later. No!